Two humorous nurses would like to acknowledge the true custodians of the land in which we record our podcast, the Yorta Yorta people.
We pay our respects to elders past and present and extend our respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders listening today. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land.
Two humorous nurses with Kelly and Alisha.
The podcast that makes pus sexy.
Rub it on my body. Welcome to Two Humorous Nurses, where we plan to bring you funny, informal, conversational chat about all things nursing. Again, not nursing related today.
Yeah, it's definitely nursing related. We see it in our nursing life.
I guess.
Isn't it weird that the word pussy and pussy are spelt the same?
But why is it then like if you have multiple octopus, it's octopi?
Pie.
But if you have multiple pussies or multiple
just called
pus,
cats.
What?
Pussy.
Oh dear God, we're off to a good start. Today's episode is wonderfully disgusting. What is it about pimple popping videos that make me salivate?
It's like literally a relaxation tool.
But why do I salivate when I watch them?
Probably the same reason I salivate when
keep my mouth open?
Salivate when I smell burning human flesh.
Oh God. Is it because, I wonder if it's because I keep my mouth open or I forget to breathe or something, or I forget to... I've got bodily functions like you need to swallow your saliva. It's like
it just pulls in your mouth.
I'm like mesmerised.
I don't know why, but we'll find out, I reckon.
I don't know.
I am like pretty interested to know why some humans find gore and pus like relaxing and interesting and like will watch it on loop, and other people literally want to vomit and are probably switching off this podcast right now because they're like, I do not want to know about pussy pussies. So
that was actually one thing I didn't research.
Me either.
You didn't Google blue waffle?
No.
I don't even know what that is really. I know what it looks like, but I don't know why it's called.
We're a live Google. I'll put some live Google music
on. I think it's fun, like, because we did this with feet. Like, why do some people find feet interesting enough? Yeah. Anyway, I suppose, and like Dr. Pimple Popper has 7.6 million YouTube subscribers.
She was just on a podcast and I saw an excerpt on Instagram about it, and she said that she actually wasn't a pimple popper herself. Like she's a dermatologist, so she isn't grossed out by it, but it wasn't something that she found interesting, and she said that she was very blown away by the fact that she's now created this huge
subculture.
Like, I mean, everybody knows who she is in the entire world, and pretty much. And she said it wasn't something that she thought. She said they filmed it because you got to put content, and anything is content. And then she said it blew up, and now it's changed her life.
And I love Dr. Sandra Lee, like the way that she talks to her patients, she's just so beautiful. And I will not listen to the audio on anyone else's pimple popping videos except hers, because I actually love the way she talks to her patients.
Not hurting you, am I? And like the OG ones, like the Fireman and Gold. What was his name? Pops. Yeah.
Mr. Gold.
Mr. Gold. Yeah.
Mate, if you don't know who we're talking about, you need to get on Dr. Sandra Lee, Dr. Pimple Popper.
Yes.
She's amazing.
She even has a TV show now.
I know. That is insane to me. But yeah, so we'll talk about pimple popping first, I think, because it was sort of the inspiration into this whole episode. I guess, and they're also called extraction videos. So pimple popping videos, extraction videos. So a licensed esthetician or dermatologist gets rid of clogged pores on the face or body with either a special tool or their fingers. What do you prefer, the tool or the fingers?
Well, I prefer my fingers when I'm doing it to somebody else, but if someone's doing it to me, I prefer the tool.
And what if you're watching a video?
I like the ones that you can pop where they put the like little needle in the top and then squeeze them out. And there's like 10,000 of them, and then they layer them up on their hand next to the brand on their glove. Like it's I love those ones. They've got to be really. I like the way
they've got to be clean pops though, don't they? Yeah, I totally agree.
Multiple.
There's nothing worse than when they're using a tool and it's a really sticky
And they
like
just
blackhead or
keep,
something,
yeah.
and they keep going and keep going. You're like,
It
oh my
keeps
God, move
breaking,
on,
and
move
you're
on.
like, yeah. Or they're doing it and they miss that one big one that's just there. And you're like, fucking get in there. I'm not watching this to become angry.
I'm actually going to talk about that. Yeah. So,
do you have a tool? A pimple popping
I
tool?
don't. No, because I do
do
get blackheads, but since I've been using this really good O Cosmetics, like skincare, my skin, although you're looking at my skin now, I've run out of half of my stuff. But since I've been using it, it's my skin has been really, really good.
Because we literally just tore our lounge room apart because we can't find our pimple tool. And
oh my God.
And like literally we pull our couch out and vacuum behind the couch. We cleaned everything because we're like, where the fuck is this tool? And why has it gone missing?
That's
I
the only
need my
reason you
husband
pull
to
your
pick
couch
my
away
back.
from the wall.
No, I haven't pulled the couch away for like, surprised there wasn't any dead mices there. But anyway, it was like, we got it from Body Shop. Might need to invest in another one. Anyway, sidetrack again.
Well, I've learned through my research that our obsession with popping our own pimples and then subsequently watching others pop theirs or someone else's is like multifaceted. Like there can be lots of reasons why we enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I'm a popaholic, clearly. I follow so many popping Instas. And it's probably because I need that like hit of dopamine, which if you don't know what dopamine is, it's a neurotransmitter which is involved in how we experience pleasure. And it's like a little natural high. And, you know, I ended up down a rabbit hole of like how cocaine affects your brain because it like gives you this massive surge of dopamine anyway. And watching people popping videos for some reason can result in a little surge of dopamine.
Which is ideal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's better than doing drugs. It's like we watch people popping videos so we don't go reaching for the coke. But dopamine it can play a secondary role in the body. Like usually plays a secondary role in the body, but in certain situations it literally can be a lifesaver. So they use prescription dopamine, which is inotropin. Sorry, coffee. Inotropin and for hypotension, poor cardiac output, perfusion, and in some cases of septic shock. So that was news to me. I didn't actually know that inotropin
induced or chemical. Does it induce dopamine or is it literally?
No, I think it's like a
dopamine?
synthetic version of dopamine, but in like super concentrated. I think.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, we didn't do that much.
Nurse.
Yeah.
But there's complications with too much dopamine, which I've actually found interesting because sometimes I find when I'm watching pimple popping videos, I can actually become quite anxious. Like it does the opposite. It has the opposite effect for me. So it can cause like too much dopamine can cause irregular heartbeat, fast heart rate, trouble breathing, chest pain, nausea, vomiting or headache, which I actually feel like sometimes I'm watching it and I have to kind of stop. Maybe I'm getting a rush.
Or becoming aroused.
Not quite. I wonder if there's a connection between that though. Now that you say that.
I wonder if your body can naturally produce too much dopamine though. I wouldn't imagine that it would.
No. But I was thinking like not that I get horny watching people popping videos, but I wonder if there's a correlation between like, you know, some people get horny watching like feet, for instance. Like
that's a fetish, I guess. Would you call this a fetish?
Maybe
I suppose if it does turn you on, then it is a fetish.
I mean, it doesn't turn me on. It just makes me feel relaxed after it, and I don't want to have sex with someone's pimple hole. I don't know. But we should write that down for later day.
That isn't
anyway.
Oh god.
Psychology Today, this is like from their website, and they were saying that a new neuroscientific study focused on investigating what happens in the brain while people watching pimple popping videos tried to shed light on so what happens in the brain basically while people are watching it. And this study was published in the scientific journal Behavioral Brain Research in 2021. And it used a scientific technique where they use like MRI while the brain is functioning. The brains of 80 women were scanned using an MRI scanner while they watched 3 different kinds of videos. I think this is so funny. Pimple popping videos, water fountain videos, and steam cleaning videos. Like actually steam cleaning videos would probably get me off too because like the satisfaction of things being steam cleaned. Have you watched
the rug cleaning? I think I've spoken to you about the people that get like rugs, like carpet rugs that are absolutely filthy. They're all black. Then they clean them.
I think I've seen it on your TikTok or something.
Holy moly. That is sometimes more satisfying than, and because the way they do it, and I just want to get the soapy, like it physically probably makes me feel better than the pimples.
Yeah.
But
it's like that's so satisfying on Snapchat.
So satisfying.
Yeah, so satisfying. There were two groups of participants, women who enjoyed watching pimple popping videos and then women who didn't.
Yeah.
In addition to watching the videos in the MRI scanner, the participants also filled out some questionnaires regarding their emotions in general and then their feelings about pimple popping videos.
Two things about this. If you put me in an MRI scanner to watch videos, it's going to be a really skewed result because I'm going to be terrified about being in the MRI scanner to start with.
You'd be the outlier in the study.
And I wonder why they only chose women. Is that because men are easily grossed out and this isn't
men are pussies? Men are pussies?
Pussy pussies.
I don't know. I think maybe because men are less emotionally intelligent as well, so women might be able to identify their feelings more accurately.
Generalising. Can't give men a questionnaire about emotions and feelings. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, you can, but their results probably won't be very accurate.
Be like, how are you feeling? Good.
Fine.
Same
as yesterday.
That's
what I mean. Right? Women are far more articulate about their emotions. So, the questionnaire data revealed that women who enjoyed watching pimple popping videos were less easily disgusted than the other group, which that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
The analysis of the neuroimaging data revealed that those women showed increased brain activation in the so-called frontopolar cortex area of the brain. So this brain area is involved in coding action intentions and predicting the outcomes of motor decisions. So we get excited because we know what's likely to happen. And that's when you were saying about how when they miss the pimple, like that is so devastating. You're like, get that one. What are you doing? No. So I feel like that's where a lot of our satisfaction comes from because we see that they're about to do something and we know what's going to happen. And that's like the part of our brain that's like firing. In contrast to the group that enjoyed watching those videos, the group that did not showed a deactivation of the nucleus accumbens, which is involved in experiencing pleasure, but also in avoiding non-pleasurable events. So deactivation of this brain area has commonly been associated with a disgust reaction. So, I mean, that's pretty standard. I would expect people who don't enjoy watching those videos and not so they're going to be disgusted.
Yeah.
So they suggested that two different mechanisms for why some people enjoy watching pimple popping videos while others find it disgusting. And the first one is the differences in the ability to regulate disgust. So obviously disgust helps us stay away from things that pose a danger to our health since they could lead to like poisoning or infection, like rotten food or a festering wound. But a pimple popping video, like it doesn't pose a real threat to the health of people watching it. Just like some people watching a horror movie, you're not in danger of getting murdered while you're watching it. But people who enjoy watching pimple popping videos might have a better ability to adjust their disgust reaction than those who are disgusted by it. And the other one was a high curiosity for negative content, which I think that's so interesting. Like, it's like when you're watching, and they talked about it, like they call it morbid curiosity, and it's like, it's almost like when you are watching. It was like, you know, when they used to watch Australian Funniest Home Videos and you'd see like horrific things happening to people, and sometimes they would be really funny and you can't not watch them. It's like Jackass. Like, you know that they're going to set their asshole on fire, but you can't stop watching it. Like, it's like that, you know, the sense of seeing a train crash and you can't look away. So people who enjoy pimple popping videos might show a stronger morbid curiosity than others.
It's interesting because I can't watch, like when you watch medical shows on TV and they, I can't watch the procedures on TV. Like it grosses me out. But if I'm in the operating theatre, I'll stick my hand into anything, touch anything. Like it's weird. I can do it when I'm physically present. Like I've literally watched in a theatre, participated in like peeling a man's face back in order to get to his like sinus cavities and to do surgical stuff on his face. But if I was to watch that on TV, it makes me feel ill. And
that is so, as in fictional stuff or like
no, real life. So I know it's real. And even like Cam will send me videos of like MMA fights where they like literally will bust their arm. Yeah. And I'm like, I know what's coming and I can't watch it.
Yeah.
So I know what's coming and then it triggers my disgust reflex, I guess. But then I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. When they eat disgusting foods, can't watch it. Can't listen to it. Yeah. Like I skip over those bits because
I actually find those really difficult.
I can't do it, but I can watch the grossest pimple on like an animal, like a giant abscess being sliced open on a cow and it come flooding out and be like, oh yeah, that looks cool.
I feel like that's okay. I watched, I don't know if you've seen it, but when the pimple popping thing started to get really massive, like a few years ago, maybe even longer, there was a video going around of a dog, like, I don't know, in a third world country or something, that was riddled with mango worms. Have you seen that video?
No.
And they would like pop them, like what I thought they looked like enormous, like big whiteheads, right?
Yeah.
But they would pop them and these live worms, like almost like grubs, would pop out. And it was fucking horrible. Like, that actually made me physically sick when I realised that it wasn't just
But do you think
dead
it's because
skin
it's
cells,
on an animal as well? Like, you have a little bit more, like,
I
you're
have
like
so much
very
more empathy for animals.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting what you will tolerate and not tolerate.
Well, I recently unfollowed because I mean, I'm not a huge fan of like horse racing, and it's the whole like, not that I'm hardcore about saying up to the cup and whatever, but I won't put bets on and I won't watch it on TV because I feel like, I don't know, I don't know enough about it to have an opinion, but I do know that the race jumping is like super fucking dangerous.
Oh yeah,
and I was following like an up to the cup, I don't know, something hashtag or something like that, and there was one place that was like petitioning for the end of race jumping, and they would always be posting videos of these horrific falls from these horses where they would break their neck or break their leg, and it like, and they wouldn't put trigger warnings, and they would. It was literally like in your face, and I had like almost a full on panic attack one day because I was just like scrolling through my everyday Instagram, and here comes this video of this horse breaking its neck. And then people on the sidelines like laughing about it. Yeah. And then these people whose job it is to run out with an enormous tarp to cover these horses so that somebody can kill it. Yeah. Like, fucking horrifying. And then to drag it away onto a truck. Like, it's all there like, hey, there's probably going to be a horse that dies today. Yeah. So let's make sure we've got everything ready to put it down quickly. Yeah. Like, or some of them instant death. Like, it's horrifying. Yeah. And those kind of videos when you see something so shocking like that.
Especially when you're not ready for it.
No, exactly. And then because horses are so massive too, like I think it's horrifying to me. Like, and I don't know, I really hope there's nobody out there who like watches those videos for pleasure. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I think also like that's where our morals and ethics come into play, isn't it? Like, we can watch all the pimple popping in the world, but we can't. You can't justify an animal or even a human being harmed to the point of death and find it entertaining. So like, even when I watch those videos of being like falling off roofs, most of the time it's them propelling themselves off a roof. So Darwin Award to you. But and I can laugh about that because you put yourself in that position, but animals don't put themselves in a position. We put it in them position.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, so Michael will always say like my style of comedy, like what I find physically funny, like things I will laugh at on TV. Yeah, it's always slapstick. Like,
of course, it's the best.
If someone falls over, like I'm dying. Like, it's so funny. Yeah. Today I was this is so stupid. Oh, no. I'm driving down the street. It's like rainy and windy and horrible here. This woman gets out of her car and she puts up her umbrella and it's totally the wrong way. Like, it's totally been blown up and inside out. And she's just standing there holding it up in the rain. I'm like, lady, come on. Like, and I'm like laughing to myself as I drive past because it was just such a funny image. And like, you know, sometimes when people fall over, like when you see them fall over, it's really funny. Yeah. But obviously then it stops being funny if they've hurt themselves, except if it's your husband, then it stays funny.
And then you got to take a photo and then you can help them up. Yeah.
Well, like he always bangs himself into stuff and I always think that's so funny.
Yeah. No, peripheral. That's what I really says about me too. He's like, you have no peripheral awareness of what's happening around you. Like, you cut people off with your shopping trolley, like he hates it. He's like, because I just don't pay any attention. It's like when people say, I saw you down the street, and I'm like, well, if you didn't physically look me in the eye and I didn't look you in the eye, I haven't seen you.
No, exactly right.
I don't care. Like, anyway, I did some investigating on my own.
Yes, good.
Did some pimple popping research.
That time you did some work for this podcast.
Yeah, about time. But I didn't do anything scientific. I just Googled what's the funniest pimple popping story.
Okay.
And this is what I got. There was an article with lots of them, and I picked, I picked 1, 2, I don't know, 4 or 5 of my favourite.
God, I'm curious.
So Also, at the start of this article, which was not scientific, said, according to researchers, some individuals who identify as problem solvers with a desire for control, which I feel like is
That's
both
me.
of us, seem to get the most pleasure out of popping pimples.
Oh.
But I like...
Yeah, because if I see, like, Michael doesn't get pimples often, but he'll get like
Oh my God.
one big one,
Yeah.
and I won't be able to stop looking at it. And
My little
you've got to let me
brother
at that thing.
has the best well, he used to have the best pimples on his back. And when I visited once, he was like, you want to do my back? And I was like, fuck yeah, I do. Give me some cotton buds.
Yeah.
Oh, I just went to town. He was and he didn't go, oh, like if I try and get Cam's pimples, he touched it. He's like, oh God, Jesus. I'm like, God, you're a pussy.
Yeah.
But, but my brother
I feel like
sat
that's
there.
going to be the title of this
Pussy
episode.
pussy.
Just pussy. Pussy.
My brother just sat there and took it like a man.
Love it.
And the exhilaration that
That's
comes with
sexist.
watching a pimple that decided to show up smack bang in the middle of your forehead or somebody else's explode is an attribute to the pleasure hormone dopamine, which we already talked about. I have had perimenopausal forehead now for a while. I've never really had pimples in my life. I've been blessed with great genetics and lovely skin, which I haven't taken care of until the last 5
Listen to
years.
her.
I
Yeah.
know. Thank you, Noni. Anyway, I have had these tiny little like whitehead things across the top of my forehead above my eyebrows.
Can you save them up and we'll film them me popping them?
Mate, no, I can't because I'm a picker. So, and in our toilet at work, there's a downlight situated right above the where I wash my hands in front of the mirror. And so I just go to town, and then I come out and look like I've got bloody shingles or chicken pox or something because I've attacked
That's
the
the
shit.
worst thing.
But I had this tiny little one that I could feel, but it didn't show like a pimple. It
went
didn't have
hard,
a head,
yeah.
so I just squeezed and it exploded onto the mirror.
Oh, I love that. Well done.
Yeah, it was so satisfying. The dopamine rush was amazing.
I actually had a boil recently.
Where?
Did I not tell you this? It was like opening night for the show. And I realised I knew that I'd had a little bit of chafe because
Oh,
I'd
you
been wearing
did tell
stockings
me.
for the show.
Yeah.
And I knew that I'd had a little bit of chafe, but I just left it. I was like, it's not that sore, like whatever. And I just gave it a good kind of wash in the shower and it was fine. And then it wasn't until like I actually looked and it was huge. Like, and it was literally just because because we have swimming lessons, I'd stupidly like whipped around quickly with the shaver because I hadn't had a wax in ages. And so then it was literally like an ingrown hair
boil.
and it was so painful.
So painful.
Anyway, I just self-managed it.
Yeah.
It's gone. I was like, it is the biggest thing. Like, it's probably the biggest one I think I've probably only had a couple of them, but
I've had two.
it was huge. Like, I'm talking like probably the length of my pinky finger. Like, that's how long it was. Like, it
Yeah,
was like
deep.
It was like long.
Oh, long.
Yeah,
oh,
like
'cause
wide.
of-
Like,
yeah.
yeah, weirdly, I don't know why, but
Yeah.
anyway.
There's nothing better than like popping a boil.
Oh yeah, except like you have to keep draining them.
Yes.
And
When I was a
doing my best
teenager-
aseptic technique.
When I was a teenager, I got I used to ride horses all the time, and I'm a sweaty person, so I got a boil sort of at the top of my butt crack.
Oh, right.
And it was really sore, like a pimple. And because I'm a squeezer, I'd just been trying to squeeze it, which I think made it worse because I
Yeah.
wasn't actually achieving anything because I could sort of see it in the mirror anyway. And then one day I woke up and I was like febrile and feeling sick, and I, told my mum, who was a nurse and not very empathetic, and I said, "Oh, I don't know if this is anything, but I have this thing." And she took one look at it and was like, "Oh my God!" So I ended up with like sepsis because of this boil on my ass.
Kelly.
Had to dress it for like weeks. Like it was really bad. I was on antibiotics and
Is it
everything.
being packed?
No, it wasn't that bad, but I had to keep like draining it, like I say, in the showers, like squeezing it, and then it just had a dressing on the outside because it was rubbing on my pants.
Yeah.
And then I went away and worked on cattle stations when I was 18, so only like 2 years later. And it was like, far north Queensland, and I was sweaty and I felt this thing on my butt cheek. And I was like, and I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh, that's like a pimple. And then within days, I was like, oh my God, that's not a pimple. That is another boil. But because I knew what happened before, I was like, I have to get this out. So I got this is so bad, but I didn't want to tell anyone because I was 18 and like.
Did you go to the horse medical
No,
supply?
I just got the tip of one of the really sharp steak knives and like stuck it in the tip of it so that it cracked the surface of the skin. And because I couldn't squeeze it because it was so hard.
Yes.
So I had to put a hole in it.
Yeah.
And then I squeezed it and so much came out. So every single day I just squeezed it and put like a Band-Aid over it because we're in the middle of nowhere on a cattle station.
And I don't care what anyone says. Like if you have a boil, like you need to express the fluid from in it. It's the only way it's going to get
And now
better.
I have like this little dimple on my butt cheek from where my boil was.
So
And I self-managed as an 18-year-old and wasn't even a nurse. Right, anyway, so let's get into these stories.
See, I love a good boil story.
Yeah. The annual ass pimple. They all have titles, which I thought was great.
The annual ass pimple.
I'm 100% convinced that my obsession with unappealing bodily functions is hereditary. My mum used to line us up weekly to clean out our ears and pick our pimples. She was also super disappointed with my small pores and lack of earwax. At about 21, I was blessed with adult acne. Then I started to develop an annual ass pimple. I take yoga regularly, so I can normally get it myself. Go flexibility. But recently, my boyfriend of 2 years heard me fall over in the bathroom and came in to catch me ass up with a needle. I decided it was now or never, a ride or die moment, and told him. He shook his head because he doesn't believe in popping them, but I knew it was happening with or without him. He conceded and we sanitized the needle. I lifted my leg on the counter in our least sexual experience with that position, and it was an anticlimactic because it wasn't ready. I took it as a sign to FaceTime my best friend so she could help me do it as myself. Imagine getting your boyfriend in. I mean, they've been together 2 years. How did you not? Why is that the grossest thing you've done in 2 years? I'm pretty sure I farted in Cam's face on the first weekend.
Oh my God.
Like,
no, just no. I think I have had Mick. I had Mick inspect one of my hemorrhoids when I was pregnant with Ollie. I was like, "Can you see it? Is it bad? Is it bleeding?" I think that's probably it, though. I don't know that I've gone. He won't let me near any of his junk. I don't reckon he's had anything that serious anymore.
Nah, neither's Cam. Although Cam had the best pimple in his ear. So he'd been saying, I've got a pimple in my ear. And I was like, all right. And then he came and he goes, it is so sore. And it was huge. And I said to him, oh my God, I'm going to get a cotton wool ball. I'm just going to have to press that and it'll pop.
Yeah.
Because it was getting so big, it was blocking like his ear canal. Like it was massive.
Wow.
And so I got the cotton bud and I thought, I'm going to film this. So I was like filming with one hand, cotton bud in the other hand, and I literally just pushed on it
and it went
and I went poof, and he was like, oh, that feels so good. And that was it. Like it was
I'm
huge.
already instantly satisfied.
I know, it was the best thing. And I don't it was Snapchat, so the video's gone.
Mick doesn't tell me about shit like that because he knows that I'll be like, it could be cancer.
Right. Couples who extract together stay together.
Oh, yeah.
My husband and I find a lot of joy in getting a good squeeze on each other's bods. Nowadays, we rarely hit the jackpot, but there was one so grand and exciting that we talk about it even to this day. A few months into our relationship, I was sitting on my husband's butt like a seat as he was laying on his stomach shirtless. I began to analyse his back to see if there were any treats. I said, you have this really weird mole though. You need to get it checked out. I did a pinch of the area just in case and noted something rising within the paw.
Deep power.
Deep power, yeah. With a hard squeeze, a tube which felt like half the size of my pinky nail proceeded to slowly come out. It was rock hard and the first fifth of it was completely black. It seemed to go on forever. When it finally finished, all that was left in his back was a dark gaping hole.
Definitely a deep out.
No blood or anything. We still reminisce about the happiness we felt when we found the crater.
Hell.
Every once in a while, I hopelessly squeeze around the black hole, but hardly anything reappears. It just serves as a friendly reminder of one of the happiest days of our lives.
For fuck's sake. I don't even know what to say to these people. Like, yeah, okay. Popping a pimple is greatly satisfying. Probably not the best day of your life, really. Oh, man.
I just love
Have they heard of intercourse? I wonder if they're like Christians saving themselves for marriage.
Well, they are married now. In college, my acne was made so much worse by amphetamines, THC and ecstasy.
Jesus.
One cystic pimple in particular grew into a dark aubergine bubble on the right side of my nose that I picked at on almost a daily basis.
Because you're a drug addict.
Yeah. It stayed there for almost a year, but it went away shortly before I graduated college. The following summer, I was living at home and therefore had switched to a more mellow combination of dilaudid and mid-level scotch.
Fucking hell.
I had noticed an orb growing on the right corner of my mouth. One afternoon, a ball began to discolour and turn dark. I slurred, never again thinking about my previous cystic friend, and vowed to get rid of this lip globe once and for all. With a Steuben rocks glass in one hand and a pair of Tweezermans in the other, I performed gruesome botched surgery. The next morning, I walked down to partake in my usual breakfast of coffee and opioid abuse when my mother shrieked.
Oh, God.
The right side of my face had ballooned. She immediately made me a dermatologist appointment. Also, anyone can bag the American healthcare system, but if you can get a same-day dermatology appointment, can't be that bad.
Sure I booked one in January and it's not until next month.
Cam hasn't even heard back from his referral. Anyway, where am I? The aging man looked at my face and gave a knowing, sympathetic look at what he thought was an average run-of-the-mill acne extraction go-getter that had gone too far. He took his scalpel to my lip and, to both of our horror, a hardened pearl revealed itself. His eyes widened and he told me he'd never seen anything quite like it. I feigned ignorance. It was rushed to the lab only to come back benign. As I write this, the indented scar still lives on my mouth, pulsates and mutters, "You fucking idiot."
I really want to know if you got off the juice.
Oh, I was literally about to say, I wonder if this made him rehab a little.
I was hoping it would have been like a piece of crystallized meth. Stuck in his face.
Just dissolve, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I don't know enough about
it. I've never seen meth in my life.
I think I might have seen it. I don't know where.
I've
maybe just
certainly never tried it.
Definitely not.
No. I just love his honesty, coffee and opioid abuse.
Actually, I don't think I've ever seen it. I'm like the kind of personality that if I saw someone with hard drugs, I would be like, I would just be so shook that I would probably leave. I'm such a sook.
I would be like, I can't be here. I'll lose my nursing license. The police are going to turn up. They're going to raid the house. What the fuck are you doing?
Why am I socialising with people like this? That's literally what even as a kid, I remember being 16 and I went to this party that was so out of control and I was there for an hour and I was like, can't be here. This is the kind of party where somebody gets killed. And as a 15 or 16-year-old and I went out every weekend. I went to parties every weekend.
Oh, I never did.
And I mean, this was in Melbourne, but it was in the western suburbs of Melbourne. But, yeah, I just, as a kid, I always had this real, fear radar of anyone doing drugs.
I have a pretty hard line with, drug use. Yeah. I think hard drugs, I just don't see the need for them, ever. The occasional joint, I'm down with.
Oh, it's different. But I feel
But I feel like crystal meth. I don't know what I was going to say. That ice.
That is crystal meth.
Coke, heroin, anything that you need a needle to shoot up. Happy to give you the free ones at the hospital. Come on in.
Take some clean. Condoms.
Take some condoms too, because I just can't imagine. Yeah, anyway, that's completely different. That's a different episode.
Different kind of discuss.
Different kind of discuss. Yeah, I mean, you do you, no judgment, but I just don't see the point in it. It's what a waste of money.
I have a thought. While I was going through this kind of, research, because I think the podcast episode kind of came up because there were gross things happening or we were watching, I don't know.
There was something that made us
prompted
talk about
it. And this was a while ago that we kind of came up with this idea. But then I thought about gore as well, for instance, right? So there's I can't watch splinters being removed. I've done fucking laparotomies, but if somebody is removing a splinter, it's every nerve in my body is being fired.
It's
I can't
the toenail, ingrown toenail procedures.
I can watch that.
No, can't watch that.
Yeah, no, just can't watch somebody getting a splinter removed from usually from just anywhere in their body. Can't watch it, and especially the longer the splinter, the more I want to vomit. I can't.
Really?
There was a patient who came in recently who had a splinter, and it was quite long. It would have been a good 4 centimeters.
That's over an inch.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Inch and a half.
And I was like, I don't want to be here when the doctor takes it out. Like, as much as my morbid curiosity was like, you absolutely should watch, my body was going, don't watch. So, I find that really gross. But then again, I can watch people with their whole bowels outside their body and that doesn't bother me. Like, I think it might be different on the context because when it's in theatre, it's very, like, clinical and you've got all the blue drapes and it doesn't really look like a person. So maybe that's why it's easier for me. Yeah. But it's funny, you were saying about how you can see things in real life, but not on TV. Yeah. Whereas when I was a student, I saw my first, the first surgery I ever saw as a nursing student was a total knee replacement. Oh yeah, gross. And I sat in the corner and I was like, just watching RPA. I'm just watching RPA. I'm just watching RPA. And that was my way of getting through it. And because when I can watch things on TV, no problem. Like I find that, like I watch brain surgery on TV. Like I don't give a fuck. But and like YouTube videos and stuff. Like I watch a lot of weird YouTube videos. I showed a video, you'll love this. I was doing some urology education with the ward staff and I got a video of like what an actual TERP looks like and like a video of somebody doing a TERP, and when the resectoscope goes in they're all like, whoa! And like you forget how desensitized you are to things like that.
I love TERPs when they like slice it out and then when you got to catch all the chunks in the suction machine.
Well, it's funny because I was just explaining it to them and you could just see all their eyes like because no one had seen anything like that before because they all post-op, but I'm like,
don't get how a TERP works though.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Don't know how they do it on the outside, but they go in on the inside of the urethra. I can't work it out. I can't wrap my head around it. I've seen them done.
Grows into the urethra.
Yeah, but they're not cutting from the inside of the urethra.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
I discussed it with the surgeon while he was doing the procedure and I was like, explain it to me. Okay. And he was. And I was like, it makes absolutely no sense to me. Yeah. And he's like, well, it works, doesn't it? Because I'm doing it. And I was like, yeah, I can see that.
But do you know, actually, something funny. So whenever I used to do TERPs and turbits, and if you don't know what these are, they're urological surgeries, transurethral resection of the prostate or transurethral resection of bladder tumours. And the way they work is once they've resected them, they take out the scope and they let all of the liquid pour out and they hold a sieve and then all of the shavings or
chips.
All of the
we used to call them chips, prostate chips.
Yes, well, they are prostate chips. Yeah. Or if it's a tumour, they're just the tumours. They're like pieces of the tumour that's flying out and you catch them in the sieve. Well, one of my preceptors used to call them pizza toppings and that just changed. Yeah. I was so disgusted by that. But yeah, so then I thought gore would be really interesting to just touch on in this episode because some things that are gory are really fucking cool. And then some things that are gory are really fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Like I'll never forget that horse head in the bed scene from The Godfather. Like that haunted me for and probably because it was a horse again. And not that I'm a horse person, but I'm just an animal person, I think. If it was a dog head, it probably would have been even more horrifying for me. But the appeal of gory films, I don't know where I got this from, lies in their ability to provoke visceral shock and excitement. Of course, not everyone gets a buzz from them. Studies have shown that those who enjoy watching gore are more likely to score lower on empathy and higher on a personality trait known as sensation seeking. So sensation seeking is a personality trait for people who, it's like thrill seekers basically.
Yep. Adrenaline junkies.
Adrenaline junkies, which I think my brother is like ticks that adrenaline junkie box and he's a cop. So his
same with my brother and he too is a cop and his empathy level is
very low.
Well, I used to think it was a bit high, but now he's become a cop and he's spent 10 years or less, just under 10 years in the army. Yes. His empathy level is quite low.
Yeah, well, they get conditioned against feeling for their victims or feeling for
I think it's in there, but he shuts it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one theory about why people enjoy gore. Evolutionary psychologists say that horror films tap into our primal fears, such as fear of contamination, fear of being eaten, which explains the popularity of zombie movies. Horror films essentially provide a safe way for us to rehearse mentally how we would cope with age-old dangers. That is crazy to me. Yeah. Curiously, the more negative emotions a person says they experience during a horror flick, the more likely they are to say that they enjoy the genre. Huh. I can't believe that. I spend the entire time, like I watched The Boogeyman, I haven't watched a horror movie since I watched The Boogeyman, I think, because I couldn't shut doors in the house for weeks. Like, I was fucking horrified.
Did you enjoy it?
No, didn't enjoy any of it. I think I only watched it because we were with friends who really wanted to watch it. And I was like, okay.
I don't do horror. I think like my version of horror is like scary movie.
I'd rather watch Saw.
They're psychological thrillers.
Well, and I mean, that's so like far
like Seven. Like, you know.
Oh, yeah, Seven.
That Seven was
sick.
fucked with my head.
The Brad Pitt one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
About the 7 deadly sins.
Yes, that was, I actually would much prefer to watch a movie like that, even
Correct.
though the thrilling part of it is like negative for me. Like I would get quite anxious. And you look at The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, that is that fucks with us.
Fucks with my brain.
I haven't even watched the last season because I'm like,
I've stopped.
Do I want to? Because and I was watching. I was so glad that it went week to week because I binged 2 seasons.
Same.
And psychologically harmed myself.
Same. I literally became like super paranoid. I was very obsessed with the whole concept of everything of that it could happen to us right now.
It could still absolutely the dangers of it, like when you see the changes in America and how much they're trying to police women's bodies.
And then also the whole concept is that a lot of women are becoming infertile. And you can see like that is almost not happening like that, but
it's also it wasn't the women that were infertile; it was the men.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah,
and that's probably still happening, but we don't focus on that.
No,
we only ever focus on women's fertility.
Right, yeah. And,
but that kind of is that considered gore or is that just psychological?
No, it's not considered gore. But I think it's interesting that they say if you're experiencing those negative emotions while you're watching a horror movie,
you'll enjoy it.
You will say that you enjoyed it. And it's funny because when I watch Handmaid's Tale, the whole time I'm fucking miserable.
Yeah.
And then afterwards I think,
like, I love
gee, that was a good episode.
Yeah, I know. And then when nothing much bad happens, you're like, oh, that was boring.
Yeah, next.
It's like
when you watch another one.
When you watch Yellowstone and there's like not much happening, you're like, what a boring season because 10,000 people didn't die.
Yeah, you're right.
And you're like,
the threshold is really high now,
yeah,
isn't it?
I know. Like it's interesting, isn't it?
And I think it's interesting that they say that thrill seekers really enjoy horror movies because it's producing a thrill in them, like, of course. But they did come out and say that if you enjoy cuddling up on the sofa with your partner while you're watching them, it's not that you love scary films, but you actually love the way that they bring you closer to the people in your life. So they called it the snuggle theory in the 80s, which is an actual theory, which I found really interesting.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say, like, I think I'd rather watch something gory and the furthest thing from possible. Do you know what I mean? Then watch something that is very close to reality, like The Handmaid's Tale. Like, not that I mean, it's not that it's horror.
No,
it's not. But it is like
psychologically
horrifying.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think about, like, I'd rather watch Saw,
thriller,
because I think that it's so far-fetched. Yeah, it's so far-fetched.
Yeah. Did you ever watch? This is probably a good one for gore. But did you ever watch Human Centipede?
No, I heard about it and I decided I had no interest in watching it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I watched the trailer and I had to shut my eyes a lot and I was like, I will not be watching that. I think
not only is that really far from normal, but it's the people who created it. Like, absolutely fucking disgusting.
And
because what is it that their mouth gets sewn around the anus of the person in front of them,
and
right?
the aim is to keep them all alive.
Yeah. And is it a game?
I don't know. I didn't look that much into it.
I didn't actually watch. What was that Korean one that came out recently?
Oh, the game show type one.
I can't remember what it was called. I just watched the games because I didn't want to get involved with the characters.
Because everyone was saying how bad that was. Psychologically, Squid Game. That's not for me.
No, I just watched the games because I was curious about what everybody was talking about.
Yeah,
and when you could see, like, it's basically just random killing, isn't it?
Yeah,
and which I'm okay with if it's on TV.
Oh, look, I'm okay with that too. I mean, I love a good action flick.
But that's why I didn't want to get attached to the characters because I knew, and being that, like, I don't know, I feel like since going through like all of the stuff I've gone through mentally, like, and with. You know, that I really feel like my mental space is sacred to me now and I actually have to actively try to protect it.
Yeah.
Because there are so many things in the world that are damaging to us, whereas pimple popping videos relatively harmless, not going to damage me
some
mentally.
nights at the end of the day, Snapchat are really good for having good I mean, like, I got great pleasure out of watching someone get an armpit facial.
Oh, we should have brought that up. I was thinking about that the other day.
I don't know why I just love watching those kinds of things because they're relaxing and it's just like I could imagine someone doing it to me. Like, I keep trying to get Jackie out, like,
Eyebrow
facial lady. She did I had a facial with her the other week.
And you said, can you put a bit
And
extra
I was
mark?
like, maybe are you bringing, because she put a thing up saying what new services should I offer, and I put in their armpit facials.
She told me.
I was like, come on, Jack. I don't even really shave my armpits because I'm quite sensitive. So she would it wouldn't be called a facial, it would be armpit shawl.
Like an axillary.
Anyway, I was like, how good would it be to like get a wax and then just get like an exfoliant, get a moisturizer, a bit of oil?
It actually would be nice, especially during pregnancy, because I'm so stinky while I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
Like I wake up in the morning and I'm just stink. Like,
I know.
So scrub me up.
Scrub me up. Anyway, that was a good episode. I love talking about that shit.
We digress.
All the time. We're just going back to our roots. Popping pimples is definitely a love language, though. It's my love language. I
haven't had a boyfriend that let me pop his pimples since I was like in high school.
Michael, get sweatier already. Come on.
He's sweaty. He just doesn't get pimples.
He's quite hygienic, though.
He really is.
Yeah. Which is a really good thing.
I can't be mad about it. Like, first thing he comes home, he's like, I've got to have a shower. Like, it's the first thing he does when he comes home.
Well, after washing your pimple popping hands, go give us a 5-star rating on the podcast platform that you're listening to us on.
Have you noticed on Spotify there's like 195 ratings? 195 people have rated us on Spotify.
Interesting.
Yeah,
go leave us
guys.
Go leave us a comment as well, because now you can comment on them. Like they have a little Q&A.
Yeah.
On them.
We'll put a Q&A on. We'll just start putting a Q&A on all our episodes.
I have.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. It's all there. Go for it. Sometimes
I
I'll leave a little poll too. Like on our last episode, there's a poll as to whether you thought the surgeon was good or bad.
Yes.
So on this poll, we might put, are you a pimple popper or not? But anyway, go check it out on Spotify.
I have a feeling that a lot of our followers, a lot of our listeners will be popaholics.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us a follow on Instagram at 2 Humorous Nurses Podcast. Also, send us your grossest popping story.
Yes.
We honestly love when people email us. Like, it's the best.
I
So
know.
send that to hello@twohumorousnurses.com. That's humorous like the bone, HUMERUS.
Bye.